The 7 best ways to grow in shade boost harvests where sun won't reach. Let me ask you something. How many times have you looked at that shady corner of your yard or garden bed and thought, nothing will ever grow there? Too often we write off shaded areas as wasted space, but here's the truth. Shade doesn't have to mean failure. In fact, with the right approach, shade can be turned into a productive, thriving part of your garden that delivers harvests where sunlight just won't reach. The trick isn't to fight the shade, it's to work with it. Today, we're going to dive deep into the 7 best ways to grow in shade and make every inch of your space count. Choosing crops that naturally thrive in shade is the first step. The easiest win in shade gardening comes down to crop selection. Not all plants need a full 6 to 8 hours of direct sun. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, lettuce, and arugula are perfectly content in partial shade, often producing more tender leaves than when grown in full sun. Herbs such as mint, parsley, and cilantro also appreciate cooler, shaded spots where they won't bolt as quickly. By leaning into what grows naturally in low light, you immediately set yourself up for success instead of frustration. Understanding the difference between dappled shade and deep shade really matters. Not all shade is created equal. Dappled shade under a tree canopy is very different from the heavy, deep shade cast by a building wall. Dappled shade still allows filtered light, which means, many crops will thrive. Deep shade is more challenging but can still be used for crops like mushrooms, which don't require direct sun at all. By taking the time to observe your shade, how long it lasts and how dense it is, you can better match crops to conditions and avoid wasted effort. Building soil health helps plants adapt to less light. Plants in shade have to work harder to grow, and honestly the best way to support them is with strong, living soil. Healthy soil loaded with organic matter, compost, and microbial life gives plants a nutritional advantage that compensates for reduced photosynthesis. Adding worm castings, mulching with leaves, and feeding the soil with compost teas creates a fertile foundation that helps shade crops reach their potential. Vertical gardening, really opens up some unexpected opportunities. Shade is often found near fences, buildings, or along tree lines, but instead of letting these structures limit you, why not use them? Vertical setups like trellises, wall planters, or even shade-tolerant climbing crops such as pole beans can actually make good use of that filtered light. Timing your planting, honestly, can really increase your productivity. Shade-loving crops often perform better in the cooler seasons, so lettuce, spinach, and brassicas planted in spring or fall will thrive in shady conditions because, the temperature stays moderate and the soil just retains moisture longer. Watering techniques need to be adjusted in shade gardens. It's easy to assume shady spots don't need as much water, but honestly, that can be kind of misleading. Shaded soil tends to hold moisture longer, so overwatering becomes a real risk. Mulching to regulate temperature and checking soil moisture before watering is essential. Companion planting makes shade work harder for you. One of the most powerful strategies for shade gardening is pairing crops that help each other thrive. For example, tall crops that tolerate partial shade can provide cover for tender greens that prefer cooler soil. Herbs like mint or chives not only grow well in the shade but also repel pests, protecting your leafy crops. By stacking functions and thinking strategically, you can turn even a dimly lit patch into a productive ecosystem. The bottom line is simple. Shade doesn't mean wasted space. With the right crops, healthy soil, smart timing, and a little strategy, your shaded corners can become some of the most productive areas of your garden. Don't let low light discourage you. Use it to your advantage. If this guide has been useful, make sure to subscribe to Botanical Bliss for more practical, no-nonsense gardening strategies, and share this video with a fellow gardener who has been struggling with shade. Together we can turn every corner of the garden into a harvest.